Okay, we've got first looks at the DLC ahead of the expansion's release in early November, and we've got a fun one here, folks. Magic has returned to Age of Empires 4, going up against Crackety on the other side, playing as Golden Horde. Less of a multi-TC civ than the Mongols used to play a lot. But the Sengoku has got a little bit of controversy around them at the moment. There's a lot of people kind of feeling like they might just be the OP civ and the best civ, and they definitely seemed like the most obvious one to succeed. But I think in some ways that's because although their economy seems complex, it's kind of easy to get to grips with early on and scale. But as the dust settles, I think we'll see the power shift a little bit more in favor of the Angry Vikings. Golden Horde is in a weird place themselves, though. I think Golden Horde has decent mid-late game economy. The early game economy is a little bit funky, though, because of the slow production rate on villagers. Like, they come out a little bit quicker in batches of 2, sure, but you're still waiting a longer time. And I think that really contradicts what Golden Horde players need to do at the moment, because it seems like they need to be aggressive early on to survive into the later phase of the game. Okay, so Magic going to be opening up with that Matsuri. Remember, this is the heart, the backbone of your economy. Think of it like an Aachen Chapel, because as you scale this thing up with teas of its Matsuri aura, everyone in range will get a better gathering rate. And you do so by building into the Yatai. Yatai is already coming out. Remember, they will give 20 food base by default, and they will generate additional food per minute based on nearby resources. That means berries, sheep, deer, fish, boar. And once you get to feudal age, you can research your tech to include farms. So already got to move down south here. Oh, there's a lot of value in this area, actually. So he'll be looking for the boar. If you I think you just go straight up for the boar. Okay, Magic's just going to camp here instead. He can see the boar because the interesting thing about the Sengoku Daimyo is that they see all deer, all boar on a map straight away at the beginning, similar to how French can see trade posts. And there you go, he's going to move across. So you cap out at 60 food from a Yatai, which means you only need a boar to cap out one Yatai. So when a second one comes out, it's going to want to move this across here so that it doesn't disrupt another Yatai gathering resources off of these two sites. Interesting. Magic. He goes straight onto the deer. Yeah, so he's already exhausting these type of resources, which is intriguing. I think this is one of the big challenges for Sengoku Daimyo players, is kind of figuring out what's optimal in the early game. Should you be building a lot of Yatais and leaving the food alone as much as possible, or should you just be going for these great gathering rates on things like deer? And no, it's not 60 food per minute plus boar. The boar is worth 40 food, and a Yatai will always, by default, give 20 food. And it does indeed calculate carcasses. So, you know, the other day we had someone be like, oh, cool, can you just technically club a bunch of sheep down and then eat them down to 1 food? You could, technically. The challenge is realizing they're on 1 food and stopping. It's a lot harder to do that with sheep clustered near a TC than berries, for example. You can do that with berries, leaving 1 food on each, and then that will allow each berry to just generate 2 food a minute for the rest of the time. So Khan and Torgu is coming in. We talked a lot about the Daimyo. Let's talk a little bit about the Golden Horde. We are going to get the aggressive type build that scales quite nicely in the later game. The Khans, as well as the Torgud, which are his bodyguards, are going to be cheaper, as well as have additional health. Yeah, the alternative is to go for building carts. I'm still not a big fan of the current options for the Golden Horde in Tier 2. I feel like literally both of them are militaristic. They have no economical inflation point here, which I think leads back to my highlighted problem of them having to be an attacking civ early on and lacking any sort of boom factor to them. Later on, they have great methods. They've got the Relic Uvus, so they can generate stone off of relics. And they have things like the Stone Armies or Yam Network that both kind of feel like they're economically viable. Stone Armies, of course, is to produce army, but it makes it very cheap to do so. And Yam Network gives gold from all your towers. Okay, so it looks like Coca Township coming in from Magic. This is going to be fun. We've seen this once already in a previous series. To explain a little bit, the ninjas are back. You knew it the moment you saw Coca Township, but what you might not know is that they function quite differently this time around. Yeah, this time around, the Coca Township doesn't produce permanent Shinobi. It spawns temporary ones. You can spawn them either near your buildings or in stealth forests, and they throw grenades which slow and debuff the enemy on their damage. So really good for just catching up to fleeing enemies here. Kind of like a, you know, in a retreat, you ambush them, you stop them. I think this is going to be a very powerful tool at the pro level as it gets figured out. And the other thing that he has, and he just used it, is Shinobi Scouts. So he just revealed this area for 20 seconds. This is such a powerful tool. Honestly, like, I don't know if it's going to be allowed to stay the way it is. They might have to change something about the Shinobi Scouting, at least. Yeah, I mean, getting this type of free vision so early is kind of crazy. Because now it just means he keeps scouting for the sheep to get more food, but he sees everything his opponent's up to. And it looks like it is going to be an aggressive opening as expected here. The Batukan on the way. Yeah, Batukan is a very, very powerful unit actually in the early game. Not the craziest of damage, but so much sustainability is the point. The cool thing about this guy is once you get Torguts out with him, his bodyguards, he doesn't lose health. They will die before him. So there's going to be some interesting min-maxing you'll see in early raids where people are going to start pulling away injured Torgut to keep them alive and switch aggro. And the Batukan does not heal directly himself. However, the Torgut can heal him. Shinobi coming out. I love that. But he's dodging the shots. Yeah, so the grenades they throw aren't guaranteed, unfortunately. That was great weaving by Crackety. Now, if those are clipped, it would have slowed him down a lot and allowed a lot of extra arrow fire to come in. And the Shinobi, by the way, they are temporary, regardless of what you do with them. But if they throw all the grenades, yep, they go full Naruto mode and just disappear. And yes, the Shinobi do scale. Their damage goes up, so the Imperial they'll have 10. Interesting thing about them, though, you also get more of them. So you get 4 that spawn with that ability in Feudal Age, 6 in Castle, and then 8 in Imperial. Ah, and we do have Yari Cavalry coming out. I love this from Magic. The Yari Cavalry, of course, are the light cavalry option for the Sengoku, but they specifically get bonus damage against cavalry on top of the normal roll of a horseman. You pay a little bit more for that, coming in at a price of 145. They've proven worth it recently. Oh, not worth it there, though. What? Magic gets caught up being greedy. Villagers get ran down. Batukan will get the final clap there. It's a -2 workers. Great start for Cracked into this game. Yeah, the Yari Cavalry will gradually win, but this early on they can be somewhat ignored. Can we agree they also look epic, by the way? They really do look cool. Target farm Torgut. He might as well, because it's basically you want to target down the injured Torgut. Otherwise, what Crackety could do is he could run away the injured one and then let this new one be marked by the Khan to take all damage. There's something just really cool and beefy about the Yari Cavalry. I think that aren't their horses bigger actually now that I think about it. They kind of look it. Oh, and we have Shinobi. Yes, he clips him with the blind for the movement speed slow. Clips it again, so extra connections in there for the Yari chase. More grenades. Those ones aren't quite gonna reach, but great idea there. That was a great usage of the Shinobi ability, showing it off early on. Obviously, this is trying to run down a unit that's very tanky anyway, and he will get it. So double Torgut kill, and I believe he lost, was it 1 Yari for that? But it was also the 2 workers, so I think Crackety still got good value out of that overall. And you are seeing this correctly. Crackety is losing his sanity, discovering that you can build walls with the Golden Horde. I know, it's a shocker. Wonder, is Magic just going to go castle now? We do have the Takeda clan coming in, so that's going to allow him to buff the movement speed on his cav. Smart move here. It's allow him to chase down the cavalry quicker. I actually like the way that Crackety's playing Golden Horde. I envision them as exactly this. They are a cavalry civ. Really, it's the only way I see them functioning well here. The Karash, which is the new infantry type, is just an aura buffer. They don't get any big upside in going to normal archers, spearmen, things like that. Playing Keshiks, Torgut, and then eventually Kipchaks gives you a fully mobile comp of ranged and melee units. How big an advantage do you think it is to be able to play DLC earlier than others from a taunt perspective? It can be a decent advantage. Obviously, like, the goal here is they're meant to have these people releasing videos to kind of balance it out, so you can kind of learn through the early phases. There's definitely an advantage for sure. The problem that I've highlighted with this before, I think it's just a trade-off logic if you're a content creator. The problem is I don't think people who aren't content creators should have access. Or if they do have access, they shouldn't be hindering other people's ability to create content. And that's like my go-to take on it. Is it an advantage? Yes. Is it an insane advantage? Not really, as long as you're not talking about tournaments happening within a week of release. Oh, nice intercept with Keshix. Oh, Shinobi come in, though. Now, look at the damage debuff. Did he get the clip there? Yeah, so they're taking a lot more damage. Unfortunately, it looked like Magic struck a little bit too late there. Remember, it's a movement speed slow as well as a damage taken increase, which would have been phenomenal to Spearman, but unfortunately, it looked like Magic threw his grenades a little bit late there. It's a great fight coming in from the Golden Horde. Sengoku now on the way up, and it is going to be my favorite landmark, the Sake Brewery. And yeah, KPMM happens every week, but like, I mean, the grand scheme of things, we're not going to stop doing KPMMs. It just doesn't make sense. That's stupid. We've got 40 weeks to do. So that's always going to happen. But that's like, I think that's a more tempered environment to allow to exist straight away versus like if DLC just released and then you had a $50,000 tournament, that would be crazy, right? That's a big difference. And hell no, new civs are not banned from KPMM. It's just KPMM will return on, it'll be the 7th? Yeah. We need to organize some show matches. I don't know, I need money for that. Muscovy Yasak coming in, by the way, so it looks like Krakeny kept pace with the tech up. This is a cool one. We've seen a lot of Relic Uvu so far, but none of this. So this will actually buff all your heavily armored units, giving them more range. Yeah, so think of this as like armor clad in the ranged armor department. So these Keshix, these Tortugud, they're going to get +2 armor. Same with the Batukan. And what's interesting about this, though, is you also generate wood every minute at a rate of 200 by default. But it takes away 2 wood of that amount generated per minute per heavy cavalry or heavy melee infantry that you have. So if you have, for example, 100 Keshix, you won't get any bonus wood anymore. Yeah, my big advice on, like, if you want to be part of a creative preview, and this is the way it should be anyway. I'm not going to guarantee it's this way, but you increase your chances. Go and actually create content, make YouTube videos, things like that. Actually, like, contribute in that department, and then it's just a no-brainer for you to be involved in a creative preview. But, like, if people... I know what the response is going to be, but, oh, but I didn't have access to this, too, so I couldn't create the content. It's like, yeah, but just create the content outside of creative previews to prove the value. Does it suck when other people have early access? Yeah, dude, I went through this. I literally, like, you know, I'm not speaking from a privileged position, i.e. I haven't gone through this. I literally went through this with Age of Empires 4's launch. Do you not think that it was a huge disadvantage for a very seasoned caster to come into a game where, like, other casters had access for months in advance and players had access for months in advance, creators had access for months in advance, and then have to compete with that to build a community? I've gone through that. I had to do that. Keshix. This is kind of a crazy fight, actually. The Spearman. Yeah, he's got the Daimyo aura, so increased attack speed makes it a decent-ish trade. I mean, price-wise, I feel like Krakeny did pay a high price, but judging by the destroyed value, no. He was still happy with that. Look at the numbers here. Magic's just kind of getting dunked on. He does have a lot of gold now coming in, courtesy of the Sake Brewery. Remember, this is the one that gives you farm slots, 5 of them, that generate gold. So he has an infinite gold source now for Sengoku. And the Yatais are looking pretty good. So remember what we said earlier about the Matsuri being the heart of your economy? It's been getting buffed up by these Yatais returning care packages to it. Every time one comes home, that's 5% increased gathering rate aura for all villagers inside that big circle. So his economy is inflating quite nicely. Keshix. Now hunting. Spinmanar vetted up now. And I love that. Yeah, he just spawns the Shinobi at home. Gets the frags out. Look at the slow. It's crazy, actually. When you get hit by that, you're slower than Spearmen when they're not charging. scare him away. Crackety. We've got the stockyards now coming in. Remember, this is the Golden Horde solution to farms. They don't have pastures. Instead, they have a sheep slot where all these carcasses exist. 4 carcasses exist, and it can house 4 villages. And they don't really have any drop-off delay. They just stand up, drop it, and go gathering again. What's interesting about this is it actually costs less than 4 farms would. Yeah, it's actually very efficient from that standpoint. And they do have unique techs to buff the gathering rates on these with the rotation grazing, but it does require stone. How much money for you to analyze the win rates of beers with Hippodrome versus the winery in Midweek Muster? Oh god, that's too much money. Why would you even want that? Who cares? We've got Macedonians now. Is more than 1 Matsuri worth it? Absolutely. You can build up to 3 in the Dark Age and then +1 per age. You should be looking to cap out on these, really. It's just a great way of escalating into your Matsuri levels quicker. I'd say you bare minimum want to have 3, because then you can set 1 up on each deer stack and the board. But 4 is feasible as well with your home food. Oh, Iko Iki's coming out. Looks like we got a rush for relics for magic. And Crackety does indeed seem to be going straight for the Imperial Age. Okay, so are we going to be seeing Yam Network or Stone Armies? Considering he doesn't have the Stone Uvus, I'd expect Yam Network, which is a really powerful ability. Yam Network, the way it works is for every outpost you build, fortified outpost, it will generate 60 gold a minute at your golden tent, up to a maximum of 6 outposts. So far, though, he doesn't actually have many outposts. Yeah, these are really expensive. They might need to be tweaked on that front. 150 wood and 50 stone is quite a lot. I think the stone is what makes it a little bit more dear. I mean, you do have the Uvu generating stone at all times. The problem is there's just so many things you want to research that cost stone, like the rotation grazing, not to mention the edicts. Building your Batu Khan as well as his Torgud also requires a lot of stone. Magic. Not really leaning that much into the estate system, is he? I mean, he's got tier 1, tier 1. So he's got the Hojo effect, which is going to allow him to make his spearman really good. Like, actually, this is a situation where I think Hojo makes a lot of sense just for tier 1. He's massing out on spearmen, and they have this ability called lightweight blades. It gives them 10% more movement speed, as well as bonus damage up against villagers. Essentially 50% more damage against villagers. Yeah, so great for raiding, and also just great for chasing onto cavalry. Yeah, Crackety just reacting to the Mad Samurai now. Alright, Magic, dude. This is a blast from the past. I feel like Magic is that guy. I remember he would always be the guy who'd be trying to full wall the map. There weren't many people that would commit this hardcore to it, but he was definitely always one of them. Yeah, now that I think about it, I think I know where Wham learned how to do this now. It all makes sense. And we do have lightweight blades on the way. Ooh, this could be really cool actually in conjunction with Shinobi. New fortified outpost coming in. Has he got enough crossbows? I don't think so. These are spears now. You're being counterplayed by spears. And, you know, also the horseman upgrades coming in. So Magic will just be able to play across into the light cav. I wonder, did he actually scout? I think Magic might have cast his scout from his Coca Township. Okay, no, he hasn't. Because it feels like he knew what he's going up against before he even saw it. Crossbows get jumped. A little garrison trick. Hopping out the other side here to try and guard on the north side. Keshik's guarding up against the veteran spearmen. Spearmen that do not have a daimyo buff. No. A little bit of a blunder there. Magic doesn't have a daimyo here to give increased attack speed to all of his units. So he is going to get deleted on this dive. Damn. Nicely played. But behind this, look at the economy of Magic. We have got the Swords Hunt statue coming in. So he is thinking about daimyos in the future. This landmark might end up getting tweaked downwards. It makes scaling the estates really easy. Because the daimyos themselves are very cheap. And the mass level estates become a lot more valuable. The big problem I have with this landmark at the moment is that it gives an increase of 20% to the attack speed from your daimyo buff. Remember that daimyo buff that you get from the boys you spawn your estates? it gives you an increased attack speed of 10% in age 2, 15% in age 3, and 20% in age 4. Which means when you go Sword Hunt Estate, or Sword Hunt Statue rather, you're going to get a 40% attack speed buff on all units anywhere near a Daimyo. That is old English network of citadels on the move. I think it needs to be tuned down. It should probably be plus 10%, not plus 20. Oh, this is an awkward fight. Yep, Crackety. Not paying attention straight away. He has got a few Roost Tributes in there, which are actually really good at absorbing everything here. They kill cavalry quite well, as they get specific bonus damage up against cav. So decent for dealing with the Yari cav. Which means the crossbow can survive a little bit longer, but there's way too many troops here. So spears will sack him. And the grenades! So there's the buff coming through. They're going to be taking 50% more damage from the hits. Yeah, seriously, this is like, I think the Shinobi, someone I really want to give a lot of praise to developers for. This change around the Koka Township, they've created a version of the Shinobi that scales well. Am I heartbroken you can't build Shinobi regularly as part of your army? Of course. But do I think that this has a lot more substance and relevance than the Japanese Shinobi? Absolutely. Like, it's just overall a big improvement. It's something that feels like it's going to be relevant throughout the course of the game. And not just... And they're bloody hard to hit with, by the way. I think they're balanced and it's difficult if your opponent's paying attention to get the frags on target, as you're seeing here. Thank goodness as well. Like, if he clipped one of those cav, all of them would be moving slower right now. In the speed of the cav. Maybe noticing those Yari cavalry a little bit fast. Yeah, it turns out when you give 10% movement speed to a horseman, it gets a bit bonkers. Alright, Crackety still has not aged up yet. He has set up a nice fortified outpost to switch over to Stockyard Edict if he can buy it. Which unfortunately right now he doesn't have the stone for. The Stockyard Edict would allow him to generate gold as well as food on the stockyards. Crackety. And the Shinobi ambush! Oh, he doesn't actually spread the damage though. He just goes off the Batukan. Nice damage being done there. And you can see how high it gets. Sea damage goes up to 10 extra by going Castle and then Imperial. So the Shinobi, they do scale nicely. Not in a crazy way. In a fairly balanced way, I'd say. And they already remain good because of the fact that the movement speed as well as the damage debuffs are all percentile based anyway. Wait, Crackety's reinvesting in Keshiks? I think he's just dead. Nah. Your opponent's been building a megaton of spearmen, and you're like, oh, let's just build more Keshiks. I mean, this is kind of part of the problem, though, that we highlight is when you play the Golden Horde, it feels like you're meant to just do cavalry. The crazy part is that Crackety completely seems to have neglected Kipchaks. Kipchak archers wouldn't be a bad shout here against mass spearmen. But I guess he's worried about the Yari cavalry. But, you know, kind of 50-50ing between Keshiks and Kipchaks, I think would have solved a lot of his problems. Oh, there is a lot of problems coming his way. 26 of them to be specific, and a villager. I love that we're just seeing a lot of different units already. Like, here's the classic spearman strat with the unique increased movement speed. A little bit different. Yari cavalry has been, I don't want to say prominent, at least present. Felt dominant here. And I think Crackety may be kind of presenting one of the core issues people are going to struggle to figure out the Golden Horde. Are you meant to just build Keshiks? And what happens when your opponent builds spears? Oh, Crackety, it looks like that's going to give you goodbye to the landmarks. Town center gets sniped down. That forces the Keshik commitment. Those are elite spearmen versus veteran Keshiks. This is not a fair fight anymore. Yeah, and you know what the funny part is? Like, we're seeing really inefficient levels of civ usage at the moment. Like, for example, Magic doesn't have new daimyos coming out. That would have been an incredible buff to have 3 of them here. Pretty much would have guaranteed he wipes the entire army. So there's a lot of things that players still need to figure out. So, you know, although I've said some things like I think the statue landmark needs to be nerfed slightly, there's a lot that still needs to be kind of digested and developed. For example, Golden Horde, like I think it's still a big question mark waiting to be solved. And then things like Macedonians, even we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, like the Runestone ability just isn't being used. So I don't think Angry Vikings are being used even at half of their strength currently. Whereas Sengoku Daimyo, you know, you can see the power of it even when you just only half leverage it. I think Sengoku in a lot of people's minds is the obvious, I don't want to say busted civ, but really, really strong, probably the strongest civ of the expansion. But it needs a little bit more time to breathe. And the big thing to highlight there is, like, pros aren't infallible. They don't have all the answers. They don't know everything. Like, these boys right now are just engaging with the game and learning again. So, I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, what a noob, didn't use that. Or like, oh my god, he's not being efficient with it. They're not aiming to be. They're in the learning process. Debuff coming through. No. Formations! Because one of them got slowed down, they're all moving slowly. That was horrible. He got slowed again. All right, there we go. GG gets called. One the AOM goats back. I mean, with a performance like this, I think you just go main Sengoku and return to pro play.